This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
Good Friday morning to you. It is a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, Sirius XM Channel 158. It's Gil Alexander. That right there is Dustin Sweetelson in for the vacation and Kelly Bidlin. We have located Kelly, though. He's back in town, but he will be back on Monday.
Back on Friday?
What's that?
He came back on Friday?
He came back on Thursday.
No, that's bad.
I said the same thing to him. I said, you got to milk it, man. You got to milk. He's like, no, I had reason to be back.
Okay.
I don't know what that reason is, but he's got reason.
I know what that is. That is, I live away from my family, and I got too much family during the trip.
Maybe that could be it. That could be it. I think he went to the Keys, he said. The Keys in Florida, yeah. So he was down there. 3 hours of Caitlin Clark talk today, this morning, ladies and gentlemen. No, I'm kidding. It's not that kind of show. I have thoughts, but different kind of show. Drew Dinsick on Wimbledon here momentarily. Zach Cohen on the National Basketball Association draft, the trades that were made. Obviously, LaMelo Ball at the top of that group. He on Wimbledon as well. World Cup with Chris Felica a little later on. Maybe he's got some Wimbledon thoughts. Paul Carr on the World Cup. And then, of course, the crescendo to Fezzik Fridays. Stevie Fezzik, everything on his mind. He's got bets. Let's put it this way. He has a bet that contradicts one of his earlier bets. So it's going to be a whole betting case study from Steve Fezzik. We'll do that a little later on. First, before we do anything, Carlos Mendoza relieved of his duties as the manager of the New York Mets moments ago. I don't know about moments, but within the last half hour. You have thoughts, sir?
Yeah, look, I'm a Mets fan, and I would tell you that Carlos Mendoza is probably not totally at fault for everything that's gone wrong with the Mets. Some of this is he is dying for David Stearns' sins in the way he's organized this team. But when you think about the modern-day baseball manager, Gil, they do not make the decisions on the lineup. They do not make the pitching and matchup changes throughout the game. What is the one element a manager needs to do in baseball today? They have to connect the team. They have to create chemistry. They have to be the manager of vibes, which is something analytically I know we are totally against here.
Manager of vibes.
The clubhouse needs to be a positive environment because they're not managing anymore. What they're doing is they're managing personalities. They are a middle manager. They are the person who is managing the Target store, but they are not the GM of the entire operation. They are not the CEO. They're caught somewhere in the middle. And when you watch the Mets this year, it is very clear. There is no identity. There is no togetherness. There is no chemistry on this group. It is a bunch of random mercenaries put together, and it's mostly David Stearns' fault, but Carlos Mendoza didn't do his one job, which is bring this group together, and I can't believe it took this long for him to finally get fired.
Could you give some of those managerial vibe skills to Tony Vitello in San Francisco as well? That would be helpful.
Well, you know what? I think that's actually starting to develop.
Yeah.
I think he's starting to figure some things out, that it's not college baseball. We'll see if they've gone too far. But over 162 games, because I know a lot with baseball, it's by the numbers, right? This player's doing this matchup says this. Over 162 games, when these guys are together, with the way they're traveling for such a long period of time, you have to have guys that want to be around each other, that want to show up and punch the key card when they walk into the building. And right now for the Mets, it's been a black cloud all season long. So I think this is the first sign of what's to come, unfortunately, for the Mets, who had high expectations, who were the favorite to win that division, somewhat by default heading into the year. But I think this begins their sell-off period, where they're going to start to move these pieces, and this roster is going to look very different by the time we get to September.
The New York Mets, 34-47, as they round the bend exactly at the halfway mark of the Major League Baseball season, 15 games out of first place, behind the first place Atlanta Braves in the NL East. And, oh, by the way, with the wild card, 9.5 games out of the last wild card position. Only the Giants and Rockies are worse in the National League, and the Giants by a half game and the Rockies only by 2 games. That's how bad it's been.
Yeah, and I took a little flyer on them like 2 weeks ago to win the National League at 40-1 because I thought the stretch coming up for them made some sense. They were playing a couple of inferior teams. They also had a chance to make up ground against the Phillies and the Braves when the Braves are dealing with pitching injuries. And boy, did they not deliver. Miami with a sweep of them at the end of May. That kind of showed you where this team was heading. They had Cincinnati, where they lost 2 of 3 against the Reds. It's just, they're not a good baseball team. They're not fun to watch either. You know, sometimes your team can be bad, but they're in it. The Nationals, an example, right? The Nationals, they blew another lead last night. You can be a bad team, but you can be fun to watch. There is nothing exciting about the New York Mets. Somehow this team's like a $370 million payroll, and I'm watching MJ Melendez and Eric Wagaman in the starting lineup every day. Make that one make sense.
Yeah, can't do that. World Cup today, by the way. Another quadruple header, game 3s of the group stage. Hope everybody was on the Japan-Sweden draw with me yesterday. As far as draws go, not the biggest bang for our buck, but we'll take it. Over $2. It was plus 230-ish, I believe, in the end. Today, again, 3 windows, 2 concurrent games, starting with Group I, France and Norway taking on each other. This is a banger. The winner will finish first. Both will advance. Both are in, France and Norway. They've all clinched, but the winner will be first in the group, the order of which will be determined by the result of this game. Once again, if a draw, France will be first, Norway second, based on the goal differential. France has a 1-up on Norway in the goal differential, so a draw, France will be first, Norway will be second. Senegal and Iraq will try to be one of the third-place teams that advance to the knockout stage. So those 2 games, France, Norway, Senegal, Iraq, begin the day. That's at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific. The France game is in Foxborough. The Senegal match is in Toronto. I know, their matches. Then it's Group H, Spain, Uruguay, Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia. If Spain beats Uruguay today, Spain wins the group. If Uruguay beats Spain, Cape Verde beats Saudi Arabia. Then Uruguay and Cape Verde would advance with first and second place being determined by goal differential. If Spain and Uruguay ended a draw and Cape Verde beat Saudi Arabia, Spain and Cape Verde would advance with first place being determined by goal differential. That, again, is at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. The Group H games, the Spain match in Guadalajara, the Cape Verde match in Houston. And then it's Group G, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, where Egypt wins the group if they beat Iran. If Egypt and Iran end in a draw and Belgium beats New Zealand, Egypt and Belgium would then advance with first place determined by best goal differential. And if Iran beats Egypt, Iran will advance. If Iran beats Egypt and Belgium beats New Zealand, Iran and Belgium would advance with first place determined by best goal differential. And lastly, if Egypt beats Iran and New Zealand beats Belgium, Egypt finishes first and New Zealand finishes second. United States lose in the 98th minute last night in the final game of their group stage. Doesn't matter. Lost to Turkey 3-2, but they do lose in a sort of dramatic fashion. But it was playing substitutes largely. It doesn't matter at all. Do you read anything into it? We'll ask Paul Carr and Chris Felica this later as well.
I mean, had they tied, that feels very un-American. We don't do ties in America. We don't like ties in America. Would have felt like kissing your sister, which I guess the southern part of America, they're in favor of that part. But it's like week 18 in the NFL, right? It's like week 18 in the NFL. If you show something with the backups, you're excited. And I thought early on we showed a lot with the backups. I thought they looked really good. They scored 3 minutes into the contest. But then Turkey with 2 unanswered. Yeah. Turkey with the fight in the extra time at the end. And this U.S. men's soccer team's made history. Only 2 other times has a U.S. national team won 2 matches in a single World Cup. 1930 and 2002. The only fear I have, and Paul can make more sense of this later on, but is this more of the same old United States men's national team not delivering here? Or is it just the spot that we were talking about, that it was week 18 and it didn't matter to them, so the motivation was different?
Well, we know, we being the United States, we know who we're playing in the round of 32, the knockout stage. We're playing Bosnia and Herzegovina Wednesday night. Bosnia-Herzegovina Wednesday night. That's the round of 32 game for the United States. We'll get Paul and Chris's thoughts on that as well. Now, the Wimbledon draw is out. Drew's going to come here momentarily to talk about it. Zach a little later on to talk about it. It was released in the overnight. First of all, by the way, the picks today on the overnight, you didn't miss anything. It was the 9-1 run comes to a halt because apparently Nuno Borges didn't show up to play today against Ethan Quinn. What happened there? That was a terrible call on my part. I'd have to see what happened in that. So Borges loses. We deserved better, though, because Tatiana Maria was up on the hamburger, Yelena Ostapenko, 1 set. And then Yelena Ostapenko, in a rain delay, decided, this is too much rain. I'm taking my toys and going home. I'm going to Wimbledon. So it's a 9-2 run, with the 2 being we were up a set and a break in one of them that we lost. And then in this one, we probably should have had a winning day. Either way, bad call by me on Borges. So a loser, a 0-1. Sorry about that, after a 9-1.
Did you just call someone a hamburger?
I did. That's my nickname for Yelena Ostapenko.
Why is that her nickname? Because I just looked her up and she is from Latvia, which, by the way, that's where my family's from.
Well, I call her the Hamburger, and then Drew has morphed it into the Hamburglar. So she was a Hamburglar to my pick today as she steals the win from us by walking off the court. But this is kind of, by the way, this is the price of doing business. Late tournament right before a major, that can happen. That's the kind of thing that can happen. So it's out. Here's the thing about this. We were hoping, this is when the draw comes out and the tournament begins so close to the draw, and we have like one show to wedge in right after the draw. We hope, we pray that quarter numbers come out. They haven't yet anywhere. Not at BetMGM, not at DraftKings. I don't know about the Bet365 folks who have that book. I don't know if you have quarter numbers. I will say this hypothetically, and I'll get into it with Drew here momentarily. But this is about as, men's side, it's Jannik Sinner's tournament to lose. He's in Q1. That's his quarter to win. But Q2 is an interesting discussion with Novak Djokovic, Felix Auger-Aliassime, and João Fonseca. Q3 is a fascinating discussion with de Minaur, Dimitrov, and Shelton. And Q4 is an interesting conversation with Zverev, Fritz, and Draper. And on the ladies' side, I think they're all interesting, especially Q1 with the Hamburger, Ostapenko, Osaka, Kessler. That's the Sabalenka quarter. I think Q2 is fascinating. It's the Coco Gauff quarter. I have a play there. I don't know what the number is. I'm hoping for long odds on somebody, but we'll see. Q3 is the Iga Swiatek quarter, but I will tell you this about Iga. She could lose in the first round to Taylor Townsend. If she gets by a couple, she could win the tournament. That's where she is right now. And then Q4 is the Rybakina quarter. Not sure that's as bettable, but there's a lot of quarters where I think there might be value. Problem is we don't have the numbers yet to actually corroborate that. Drew Dinsick on Wimbledon, and maybe a little NBA. On the other side, it's a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. You're here because you want an edge. That's what separates listeners from winners. But let's be real, mindset alone doesn't get bets home. Pros win because they've got the tools, the data, and the discipline. And now so can you. VSiN Pro gives you access to the same real-time insights the sharps use. No secrets, no fluff, just actionable info that moves markets. Tap the link and see why serious bettors are turning knowledge into profit with VSiN Pro.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
20 leagues, one mission, Just Win Bets, baby. Your premier source for daily sports betting picks. They break down the data so you can bet with confidence across the entire sports calendar. Scan the QR code or visit justwinbetsbaby.com today and start betting smarter with Just Win Bets, baby. The name says it all. We get tweets, beating the book. James Fraction. Hey, Gil, 2 Wimbledon questions. 1, who did Fritz piss off to draw Draper in the first round as a 6th seed? I'm telling you, man, I don't know. That's brutal. And just to clarify, I don't have the odds yet on the men's side. We have all the women's now, quarters. But Draper in that quarter, to me, if you give me any kind of good number, I'm on it. And then the ladies' number that I like the most is... I lost it already. The ladies' number that I like the most is going to be Osaka Q1, 8-1. Second question for Jay's Fraction. Inquiring minds want to know, will Serena smoke a joint? What he means by that is
what?
She's playing Maya Joint in the first round. Oh. And again, I made my number 1.5 on Serena. By the way, Serena 11-1 to win her quarter. Please don't bet that. But I set her match win total at 1.5. I think she beats Joint. I think she loses in the second round to Iala.
Is this a Tiger Woods situation when Tiger Woods would be gone, then come back and everyone would be like so excited to bet him at these numbers?
Yeah.
And it's just not real?
Well, we'll see what Zach says. Maybe I'm wrong. Chris Heath. To Dustin. Wait, the manager doesn't manage the lineup or pitching changes?
No, they don't. The front office, all of that, I'm not saying all of it. Most of it is decided ahead of time by the front office. They tell the manager what they're going to do when the certain situation arises. It's plug and play. It's like, this guy comes in, these are the matchups we like, this is what you're going to do. The manager is not really going, you know what, my feeling is this guy's got the best potential here. It's pretty much decided by the boys upstairs.
Fluffy Kittens said, why did Borges bother showing up for that match? Clearly was already halfway to Wimbledon and barely present. I agree with you. I have no other explanation for it. Patrick Kelly, happy Friday. Gil says Gil, say all those World Cup scenarios again real fast. LOL. I had to get through it. Trip Tepper. You guys have a lot of listeners in the South. Please spare us the low IQ, lazy stereotypes. Dustin.
Sorry, I can't help myself. I am a low IQ individual. That's what we do here. Well, not what I do, not what you do.
Don't worry. The South is coming back. They love you still. Scotty, Leisure Suit Kobe. Morning, guys. Let me be the first to say job well done to Dustin this week. I hope the nickname Superbad would have gained more traction. It's still one of my faves, so definitely wasn't meant in a negative way. Both Superbads are pretty funny. Y'all come back now. You hear? Cheers.
Yeah, he wanted everyone to start calling me Superbad after I worked with Paulie, and he heard me for the first time. And I will tell you this, when that movie came out, everyone was coming up to me asking me if I had a stain on my jeans. Everyone was doing quotes from that movie like, Jonah Hill has stolen my life and done a lot better with it than I have.
Mr. Masterline, Profit X pays if one set is complete. Tatiana Cash, there you go. Yeah, if you had a one-set shop, any shop that grades at one set, we did have a winner on Tatiana Maria, but the way that I grade them consistently here is match has to finish, win or lose. Just to be consistent on it. The Irish Hammer, best pickup line in Alabama. He says, hey, sis, you awake? I say, what are we doing here? Shrek McPhee, if you're rooting for chaos, Uruguay beating Spain today would make Spain versus Argentina. Round of 32 next Friday. Well, we were talking about Draper versus Fritz in the first round. How about Spain versus Argentina? Round of 32 if Uruguay somehow beats Spain today. JB, I got ladies' quarters number. Yeah, we got them too. He was talking about C. Yeah, they're up at BetMGM. The women's quarters are up at BetMGM now. Let's see. Danny Burmett. Yeah, don't play 365. They got me this morning on Ostapenko. He said something else, though. He called her something else. Eddie Vegan Runner. The segment with Drew ended like the Sopranos final. Well, I'll tell you what his answer was to my question. He says, I don't know. I asked him, who's going to win it all? He goes, I have no idea. On the women's side, no idea.
Thought he was going to say, don't stop believing.
Burris bets. Gil, how do you bet tennis consistently when it's very clear some of these matches are being thrown? This sport's integrity is at risk. Yeah, not so much thrown. We ran into it with this Borges match this morning, and who knows, right? But it's, this major is happening, and I don't know this because I didn't see the match. I just saw the score, and obviously after our run, it's like a peculiar outcome. I don't know. And then Ostapenko quitting. It's the price of doing business right before a major, so it happens. Zach Cohen joins us now. We will talk Wimbledon with Zach, but I want to get Zach's thoughts on the NBA first. Zach Cohen joins us now, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at BettingOnX, the glue, part of the glue that holds this whole operation together. Zach, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
We're doing well. Dustin, Zach, Dustin, y'all know each other?
We're familiar with each other's game, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Curious. Zach, you had 24 hours to process the LaMelo Ball trade to the Minnesota Timberwolves. What is your reaction as an NBA hardo to this?
Yeah, I still don't think it's like a great trade for either team. I mean, I understand why Charlotte wanted to just kind of move on. They got a decent haul. I know it didn't look like it on the surface for a player of LaMelo Ball's caliber, but they kind of get a reset there with draft picks. They are now in probably the second best shape of any team in the NBA when it comes to having like tradable assets in terms of picks. So that team is going to be able to strike when they see a player that they want. But I don't think that team is going to be any better this season. And I think it was a weird trade if we're kind of framing it through the lens of like this Charlotte team maybe had a chance of entering the top tier in the Eastern Conference next year. Now all of a sudden I think you're taking a minor step back in the short term. So weird from the Hornets perspective, but the Timberwolves, they got better from a ceiling standpoint, and the floor is now much, much lower than it was because Ball is a player that has struggled to stay healthy. They've given up all of their forward depth. They are now going from being a team that would try to like beat you up inside to a team that could beat you on the perimeter. So a completely different team than what we've seen the last 3 years. And it's a team that made the Western Conference Finals in 2 of the last 3 years. So
100%
Minnesota, I kind of wrote it at the website, but I think that they are an over team to start next year. But I don't think either of these teams got like markedly better.
I so agree with all that.
I'm intrigued by the upside of Minnesota, and I just respect the boldness of not running it back with Randall and then some of these other guys, where it's just like you kind of know what the ceiling is. And at least you have some major upside and some fun, and Anthony Edwards can't get double-teamed. That was the second big trade so far of the offseason, though, Zach. The first one was Giannis, and unfortunately for Boston, they missed out on him. Since then, it seems like it's inevitable. Jaylen Brown's not going to be a part of the Celtics next year. The prediction markets don't know where he's going. We've got Kalshi with him at 33% going back to Boston. Some other teams much lower numbers. And then Polymarket doesn't know how to price it. They've got OKC at 50%, a bunch of others in the high and mid 40s. What do you think actually happens here with Jaylen Brown?
So I just saw an interesting report from Mark Stein and Jake Fisher saying not to rule out a Jalen Duren sign and trade for Jaylen Brown. I actually really like that. I feel like the Pistons get the score that they need. The Celtics get a nice long-term center that could, impact the team immediately. Because I think Boston's big problem last year was that they had nobody inside that could, guard Embiid or, really impose his will on a series. So bringing in Duren and playing Hugo Gonzalez a little bit more, I would like that for Boston, but I really have no idea where Jaylen Brown's going to go. I guess I'm just like the prediction markets. It's hard to find a spot for him. I mean, there's a lot of teams that make a lot of sense, but for Boston, there's not a lot of trades out there that make you better immediately. There's trades that reset you a little bit for the future and, help you in the long run. But if this is a team that wants to win while Jason Tatum is on the roster, there's not a lot of trades out there. And I also kind of agree with something I heard Zach Lowe say the other day, but don't understand why it's a given that they're trading Brown and not Tatum. Tatum's the one that missed Game 7 last year. I don't really get that.
Interesting. Yeah, I have a slightly different take on it. I think Brown is hard to fit in to teams. I was just going around team by team, where would he be perfect? I didn't feel like anything was perfect for him, but I could be off on that. But that Tatum note is interesting because, it's not even even on the table at all, right? Nobody's talking about, well, why wouldn't you trade this guy instead of the other? Jason Tatum coming back from the Achilles injury. Okay, I know you're not a college hoops guy as much as you are an NBA guy, but was there anything in the draft that you were like, okay, I liked that a lot, more than most?
Well, I do cover the draft a lot, so I definitely was, paying attention to that, and I did do the draft special on VSiN before.
By the way,
there were a lot of picks that I really liked.
Congratulations on your plus 8.5 units on the draft, by the way.
Well done.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes, that was really nice. I mean, a lot of it did come from just being at the right time at the computer and taking AJ DeBonsa to go number 1. So can't take too much credit there, but I did do well on draft night, nailing, picks 5 through 7. So that was nice. But
beautiful.
I think that Acuff to Sacramento was the biggest win both ways. I kind of wish Brooklyn was the team that took Acuff just because I would have liked to have seen him in New York and just kind of steal some of the narrative and shine away from that summer of the Knicks. But I think Acuff going to a team that has the ability to just roll the ball out to him and kind of play Acuff ball is going to be, really fun for all NBA fans. So I really like that. I think that the Pistons did do really well getting Abuka Okori, who is just an electric downhill driver, somebody that's definitely going to help Cade Cunningham right away, probably starting with next season. And I think that's somebody that could be really good in the future. And LeBaron Philon falling all the way, to the Philadelphia 76ers, a team that had absolutely no depth last year. Now you get a guy that could be kind of like your Peyton Pritchard. I absolutely love that as well. So I felt like a lot of teams made mistakes in the first round, which was boring.
What was the biggest
But I think that a lot of teams got better.
What was the biggest mistake, you think?
I think it was Brown to the Nets. I don't think Brown's going to be a bad player. I just think easy decision for me, at least, choosing between Acuff and Brown.
All right. We'll have a little more NBA. Dustin wants to ask you something, but we'll talk Wimbledon as well on the other side. Get Zach's reaction to the numbers on the ladies' side. I don't know if we have the men's quarters numbers yet, but we'll get his thoughts on that as well. As the Wimbledon draw is out, it begins on a Sunday here stateside. Coming back on a numbers game at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The Sharp Plays doing its thing, unmatched transparency with records updated daily, AI betting analysis, real-time global betting info, and alerts directly from the pros. You can scan the QR code on your screen for more at sharpplays.com. We get tweets beating the book. iHeart SEC podcast. Guys, it's IG, he says. Let's not think about it too much. So it's not Insta, it's not the gram. He says it's IG.
I actually would roll with IG before Insta.
Yeah, Mr. Masterline, I pointed out, I made that mistake. He said France plays in the early window, then Spain, Uruguay tonight. Yes, I got the chronology and the groups messed up there. It starts out again today with the concurrent games in Group I between Norway, France, and then Senegal, Iraq at the same time. Then it's Group H. We're going backwards in the alphabet. Uruguay, Spain, followed by Cape Verde, at the same time as Cape Verde, Saudi Arabia. And then Group G, New Zealand, Belgium, Egypt, Iran, which we'll get to momentarily here with Chris. Caleb is king. What do you guys think about Dylan Dingler for AL MVP, 150-1? He's on fire as the best catcher in baseball and correlates with Dustin's Tigers division bet. I'll tell you what my reaction is. 150-1 is a hell of a number. So I understand where you're going with that. But, yeah, look, 19 homers, 57 RBI. The average is not great, 268. Not great in this, compared to the best players in baseball. In this day and age, it doesn't stink either, 268, by the way, it should be pointed out. He would have to continue to soar to be in this conversation, but I understand where you're coming from at 150-1.
I like the idea. I would say, based on what I saw from Skubal in that start against the Yankees, which played a big role in my futures bet on the Tigers, I'm not sure you want to correlate much to that bet right now. I maybe jumped the shark. If I was doing something, I made a case for all these guys, and I told you why all these players on losing teams shouldn't be in the mix for MVP. Junior Caminero still staring at us at 40-1. He hit 3 home runs yesterday, up to 19 on the year. The Rays are a playoff team. I wonder if he continues to get hot with the bat down the stretch with the power and puts up gaudy numbers.
Yeah, but again, as long as Yordan is pinning the needle on all these stats, right? Tied for first in homers, second in ribbies, second in batting average, number 1 in hits, number 1 in runs, number 1 in slugging percentage, number 1 in OBP. It's kind of tough. But it's a long season, right? I mean, we're just at the halfway mark, so anything is possible. Chris Felica joins us once again, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at Chris Felica. He's got the Bear Bets podcast over there at Fox Sports. How often do you put those out here in the football offseason, Chris?
Well, we're kind of in a lull right now, which is kind of why I've taken my own prerogative and initiative to do these daily videos during the World Cup to get some content out there. But yeah, so much going on with World Cup. They got no time for little old Bear and Jeff and Sammy P and Will. So we will be doing one once the group stage ends. So there'll be something out next week, and then we'll be ready to rolling full time again once the World Cup comes to an end. By the way, do I get partial credit? Will and I get partial credit? Like, do our 80-1 on Junior Caminero, WBC, most outstanding player? Does that carry over to AL MVP? Does that work?
I'm being told no. I'm being told no. In my ear, told me no. Sorry about that. What about Group G tonight? I'll read because I read them so quickly earlier, and I was taken to task for that. Group G implications tonight in the World Cup, and again, by the way, all these teams, so all the first and second place teams, everybody knows automatically advanced. The round of 32 is already populating. We got about half of the teams already in there. The third place teams are all waiting to see if they're going to make it. 8 of the 12 third place teams. So the Koreas of the world, the South Koreas of the world are sitting there hoping against hope that they can get in.
They took a big hit yesterday with Ecuador getting the win.
Yes, they did. That was bad for Korea yesterday. But that's kind of, what the sort of underbelly of this is. Group G again today. Egypt wins the group if they beat Iran. If Egypt and Iran end in a draw and Belgium beats New Zealand, Egypt and Belgium will advance with first place determined by best goal differential. If Iran beats Egypt, Iran will advance. And if Iran beats Egypt and Belgium beats New Zealand, Iran and Belgium would advance with first place determined by best goal differential. If Egypt beats Iran and New Zealand beats Belgium, Egypt finishes first and New Zealand would finish second. With that as a backdrop, let's start with Belgium and New Zealand.
The bet here for me was Kevin De Bruyne, anytime goal or assist, minus 155. They were terrible in their last match against Iran, and maybe part of it is due to Jeremy Doku not being there. He will be back after the birth of his child, back on the side. But they have an own goal in the opening match against Egypt, got the draw there. Then 0-0 against Iran for another draw. They have been very, very uncreative, very lackluster. Like I said, very disappointing. And all the people out there who are coming at me for talking about Belgium being overrated. How do you like me now? But anyway, I think with Doku being back, they should be able to name their score against New Zealand. And depending on what's going on in Seattle in the other match between Egypt and Iran, have an opportunity to potentially win the group. I think they should win today against New Zealand by multiple goals. So if they can't put 2 or 3 and against the Kiwis, then there are bigger issues there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, Chris, because they're so desperate here. And New Zealand's had their own issues. Over 2.5 goals, minus 176. Over 3.5 is plus $1.43. Is that
That's
a good
tempting
enough price for you there?
Yeah, over 3.5 is tempting because once they get going, they could really wind up putting up a number here. At that number, I would take a look at that. Yeah.
Who's in the finals, Chris?
Who's in the final? I did play Egypt, Iran, both teams to score, by the way, in the other match. I think we're looking at a rematch of a couple of years ago. I think we're going to get France-Argentina again. France will obviously be on the opposite side. The one interesting bet, if you do want to make it, would potentially involve Portugal. Portugal right now, they are slotted as it stands in second in that division, which would move them to the side of the bracket with France, with Spain, with the Netherlands over there. That obviously a much more difficult path to get to the final. However, if they beat Colombia tomorrow, they wind up winning the group. And then they get put in that lower right-hand corner where they wind up getting that better run to potentially the final, where they would get Argentina in the quarter, and they would potentially get England in the semi, which would be better than playing Spain and France. So if you're willing to take a little bit of a flyer, you could maybe find a couple of Portugal versus France or a little Portugal versus Spain as a backdrop as well, because if Portugal do win tomorrow in Miami against Colombia, I think those prices will take a click down, because the odds makers will certainly see that draw and realize that their opportunity to get there is better. But push comes to shove, you make one bet, it would be France-Argentina again.
I like that you said that, because I have Portugal 8-1 before this thing started to win it. But here's been my concern. I felt like there was a huge overreaction to the draw with Congo. And then there, on the other side, a huge overreaction to a 5-0 win over Uzbekistan. I don't know what this team is. Do you believe the Ronaldo thing is an issue for them in trying to advance into the next stage?
It's the cloud is always going to be there. They just need to stop force feeding him. You've got the best midfield in the world. You've got plenty of players. I like clearly against Uzbekistan, he made a complete difference. But the truth is obviously somewhere in the middle there. The match against Congo was a corner before half where Congo made a great play to get the equalizer. They had a million shots in the second half and just got unlucky. And then you play a poor team in the second match, and you get an early lead, and things kind of go downhill from there. So they're not as great as they looked in terms of the attack as they were against Uzbekistan, and they're not as poor as the 1-1 draw against Congo looked in the opener.
Chris, have you had a chance to look at the draw at Wimbledon yet? Have you had a chance?
I did a little bit, and to echo your and Zach and Drew's thoughts, it does look wide open. Like especially the women, you could put a bunch of names on the women's draw in a hat and tell me you could tell me Emma Navarro is facing Belinda Bencic, and I would say, oh, okay, sure. Like you mentioned, it might have been Drew that mentioned that Coco draw. That is a very, very weak draw. And we know Coco has had her tendency to struggle on grass, where it's more of a serve, and that type at her forehand could be a little bit of a problem there, and not getting into as many rallies. But the Pegula play I did like. I looked at that. Remember last year, she had so much hype coming into Wimbledon. She had won the grass lead up and been looking and playing great. Wound up getting bounced right out of the gate. She is in Kokoro's draw. I think Pegula would be a good look to play, and the Iga draw certainly is no easy path for her as well. What you said before, like she could lose to Pliskova, she could lose to Ayala, or she could wind up making a run here. But looks very wide open, which is great. We love having wide open betting events.
Yes, we do. Chris, enjoy the soccer today. Thank you so much. Paul Carr on the World Cup next on A Numbers Game.
A Numbers Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Our NFL betting guide is out in full effect mode. The VSiN NFL betting guide, whether you're betting futures, win totals, division races, MVP Rookie of the Year, Super Bowl odds, our guide helps you get ahead of the market before training camp begins. Inside, you'll find breakdowns of all 32 teams, projected win totals, best bets from VSiN experts, future analysis, power ratings, and more. Get it today. Our football special is just $175. And the sooner you sign up, the more value you'll get with full access to everything we do across every sport through the Super Bowl. Talk about daily best bets, real-time betting splits from DraftKings and Circa, AI-powered prop projections, 24/7 video on the VSiN Watch app. All of that in a bag of chips. Head to VSiN.com/subscribe now. That's VSIN.com/subscribe. A couple of things from last night also that we didn't get to. So you see Marina Mabrey yesterday? This was an unbelievable performance in the WNBA. She scored 53 points, which ties Asia Wilson's all-time record for points in a WNBA game. Marina Mabrey of the Toronto Tempo, 53 points, 6 boards. By the way, she was 9 of 18 from behind the arc, 17 of 28 from the field. In 32 minutes, she had 53 points. By the way, Toronto crushed. Who did they play? Was it the Sparks they played? I can't remember who they played. But they were crushing, and they didn't take her out to like 1 minute left in the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't have either.
Yeah.
I would have done the same thing. Should have let her go for the record. One more bucket, man.
Yeah. Good on her, though.
You said all that in a bag of chips. What's your go-to chip?
I'm not a chips guy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's the most anti-American slander we've heard.
I love chips, but it's not like something I gravitate. It's not like I got to buy some chips.
No. I mean, I don't buy them because if I buy them, one bag, whatever the size is a serving for me.
When I was a kid, I thought like sour cream and onion was the greatest flavor ever.
It's a great go-to.
Yeah.
It's a great go-to.
Can I shout out the graphics department real quick before we get to Paul Carr, because he's got World Cup thoughts. Kelly mentioned this off air, or maybe it was on air, but the other day. So could you all tell me who did this? Creatively, and I don't want to let their work just go by the wayside. For every one of these nations, they have not only put the flag up, but they have in the blurry background put some iconic building or some national treasure in the background of all these countries. So shout out to whoever did that here at VSiN.
And shout out to whoever tracked down all these flags. If they were wrong, I wouldn't be able to tell you.
You don't realize that's the Cape Verde flag? Really?
Well, and like half the flags have some version of the English flag within their flag.
Paul Carr has been chiming in on the World Cup and on soccer for eons here on a numbers game. And for God's sakes, if Felica gets to talk about the World Cup, so does Paul Carr. He joins us now courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at Paul Carr, CARR, True Media Networks Emperor. How you doing, Paul?
I demand equal opportunity for World Cup talk with Felica. So here we are.
That's right. I'll start with the same question I asked of him, which is the appropriate question to ask of you. I actually texted you this last night also, which is USA loses, 98th minute, game didn't mean anything. Do we read anything into that, or we just kind of wipe it aside and it's what it was, substitutes? We don't care about that anymore.
Don't care at all. I mean, I guess you could say for the vibes, it's a little bit of a bitter taste or whatever. But on the flip side, I think, Pochettino, manager, is just going to say, all right, look, we have room to improve. Here's things we can work on. Here's things we can do better. Don't get complacent, that kind of thing. So, yeah, not concerned about the result at all.
How about the matchup with Bosnia coming up here? It's Wednesday, so we got to wait a little bit here. Looking at a minus 225 for the Americans, 6.5 to 1 on Bosnia. How should things shake out with them?
I mean, it's about as good of a draw as you're going to get. That doesn't mean it's, they're going to romp necessarily, but you said it, minus 225 or so. I mean, that's pretty great for a knockout stage game in the World Cup. So U.S. has a much higher ceiling than Bosnia does. Obviously, they have much better attackers on the whole. Bosnia is a very defensive team. So U.S. should win this. In some ways, Bosnia is not different than Paraguay or Australia from the defense first mindset. They're in a similar tier as well. They're obviously a European team, but not a top tier, maybe not a second tier team, depending on how you want to rank them. So the U.S. should do what they've done, come out fast. I'm probably going to bet them to score a first half goal again. Haven't looked at the numbers yet, but I'm probably going to do that because they've done it all 3 games, and that's just how they've come out. So it's a great matchup for the U.S.
I wasn't going to ask this. I wasn't going to even give voice to it, but since I sensed a pregnant pause either before or after the word should there, let's ask it a different way. if the United States, I don't even want to say this out loud, if the United States somehow loses to Bosnia-Herzegovina, the level of disappointment will be what?
High. Not as high, obviously, as if you go out in the group stage, but you're at home. It's a knockout game you're heavily favored in, I guess you could say. So, yeah, it would be very high. It would be, we talked about round of 16 being par, which I guess would make round of 32 a bogey. Yeah. But I would say, given where they're at now with the vibes and how well they're playing, it would be more like a double bogey at this point.
Okay, I was going to say, you said high, which I thought was understating it. Very high, I think, is getting more to it. I think it's even worse than that at this point, isn't it?
Right.
With the hype of those first two games, it would be...
It would feel like a failure of a tournament in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it would.
Because, knockout games are it's different thing. It's different stakes, different interest. It's kind of where the tournament really starts, especially when so many teams advance. So, you don't win a knockout game at home, a game in which you're favored. That's going to be a really disappointing tournament.
Okay. What are you looking at this morning?
All right, so today I've got Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia. I have the draw at plus 235. So we're into the simultaneous game, so stakes are obviously very important. So Cape Verde, with a draw, almost certainly will go through. They may not go through today. They might have to wait till tomorrow, till the other third-place teams are finalized. But Cape Verde would be on 3 points, and with 3 draws, they would have a goal difference of 0, obviously. And that's almost certainly going to get through. Saudi Arabia needs to win to get through, but I think Cape Verde is better, and they could obviously win this, and I don't hate that bet either if you're in the plus 165 range or something, plus 170. But I think the draw is a little bit more likely because they're not a super powered offensive team, but they've been pretty good defensively, even though they played Spain and Uruguay. So I like the draw here at plus 235 because that will probably get Cape Verde through.
I like it too. Draw fest. Let's do it one more time.
Yep.
Did you think about doing anything with Senegal and Iraq? Because that was one that did jump out to me because the goalie issue for Senegal. I don't know what their backup is like. And then Iraq is not good on defense. I thought about something with the total there. Did anything jump out to you with this one?
Yeah, Senegal, or either team really, needs to win by multiple goals to get into the best third place conversation. Iraq would probably have to win by like 4, which isn't going to happen. Senegal. So I thought about Senegal minus 1.5. That's about plus 125. Over 3.5 is what over was like plus 130, I think. So I don't mind that. I'd probably, if I had to play something here, I would go Senegal minus 1.5 because they really need to win by at least 2 to feel better about their third place positioning.
Tomorrow is the final day of the group stage.
Yeah.
The last game, 3s across the board. Let's go to the nighttime where it is. Where is that? Group J. I'm running out of letters. Yeah, Group J. Yeah. Algeria and Austria. You have a play in that one.
Yeah. So some history first. So 1982 World Cup. West Germany and Austria are playing in the group finale, and West Germany beats Austria 1-0. So both teams go through, and nobody took a shot in the last half hour of the game. This was kind of a kick around. And the team that did not go through because of that was Algeria, who's playing here today. And that's why they have these simultaneous games. Yeah, they have these simultaneous games because of that. It's called the Disgrace of Gijón because it was played in Spain, etc. So because of that, we have simultaneous games. But this new format is going to motivate Algeria and Austria to get a draw. If they draw, they both go through. So I have under 1.5 at plus 155 here because if you watched any of Australia-Paraguay last night, first of all, I'm sorry. But it was the same situation, and that was 0-0, and nobody seemed. I had it on at the same time as the U.S. game, but I'm not sure. It seemed like nobody was crossing midfield or taking a shot within 20 yards of goal. So it could be a similar situation here. So under 1.5 plus 155. There's this added wrinkle that if you finish second, which is where Austria is right now, you have to play Spain probably in the knockout stage. And if you finish third, you get a better matchup. I don't really know how to factor that in, but I feel like if somebody scores, the other team's just gonna be like, well, it's not even worth it to try and figure out what we need to do or try to get 2 goals or something. So under 1.5, 155 is my play.
And then looking ahead to Monday, Brazil, Japan, how do you want to play it?
Yeah, I've kind of been fading Brazil. Hasn't worked yet, although I still feel like it was the right play going with Morocco, both in their head-to-head matchup and to win the group. Brazil got it on goal difference. Still don't trust Brazil is the bottom line. I'm not sure their midfield is good enough. I'm not sure their outside backs are good enough. Japan is a good, very good team maybe. They can pass, they can pressure, they can attack from all directions. They will find those weak spots in Brazil. So I'm playing the double chance here at even money. And this is where I remind everybody when we're into the knockout stage, this double chance is for regulation only. So this is basically Japan wins or it's a draw and goes to extra time. So yeah, I have that at plus even money here, or even money.
The disgrace of Gihon, which precipitated all these concurrent matches, which is a good thing. By the way, back in the day, called in Germany the Non-Aggression Pact of Gihon. In Algeria, it was called the Scandal of Gihon. And in France, it was called the Shameful Match. Wow.
There you go.
They're so dramatic. By the
So
way,
we're hoping we don't get a shameful match in Kansas City after this one.
By the way, how about your boy Alexei Lalas yesterday saying it was not only an opportunity for the Americans to win last night, but their responsibility. What's wrong with your boy, man? Come get your boy.
It's a good sound clip. We're talking about it.
Yeah, we are. Not anymore, we're not. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Coming back on a numbers game at Visa, the Sports Betting Network.